Right, okay, Richard. I'm going to be asking you about a lot of things today, and because you've done a lot of different things, you've had a long career and you've tried many things, and I thought I'd start with where I started, which is with Xerox Your Zebras, which is a small book that you published in...
It's 1988.
1988. Tell me something about it.
Well, it grew out of a lot of writing that I did, both songwriting, because I began as a songwriter, as a lyricist, and then out of performance writing, because at that point, Mara and my wife and partner Mara and I had in the 80s performance duo called the Humanimals, and I wrote the scripts for that, and I wanted to put out a book, and I knew that I'd never be a novelist. That's just something that I'm not really interested in. But I started writing really quirky little prose pieces. And it actually started off, I had a part-time job working as a night porter at a private hospital on the North Shore, pottering about. There was nothing to do at night. It was only a 2-month job. I was like a security person, and I remember surveying this book. It was in the office that I was sequestered in. There were a shelf of books, and most of them were on anesthesia, putting people to sleep.
How to do it.
How to do it, yeah. And that sort of drove me a little bit crazy, seeing all these medical books that were quite bizarre and totally unreadable. But then I started to write little sketches in my free time. I'm spurred on by that really sort of odd, bizarre setting. And then I found that I really liked doing little quirky prose pieces and basically pushing myself mentally into odd little corners and finding these odd characters in those corners, then giving those characters a voice and seeing what that voice wanted to say and then writing it down. So a lot of it was based on playfulness with language, which so it's a playful collection, and it's a lot of different voices that talk to you. And some of the voices are sad, some of the voices are a bit crazy, some of the voices come from another planet. So I was channeling all these little bits of myself, and so the collection came together like that. It was unusual territory, and it was only after it was finished and published, actually, that I realized that I read afterwards. I began to read some French writers, like Malmar in particular, and also a whole lot of Japanese prose writers. And then I realized that, in fact, the prose poem is an accepted genre. Not so much in English, it's really neglected in English, but it is a recognized literary genre in French and in France and also in Japan.
I think there's a quote at the beginning of it: even if no one ever reads this book, the words will enjoy reading themselves. I think that was, I love that quote. It's got a nice kind of sort of pessimism about it, but in a sort of a humorous way. And
I always like the idea of one's library, one's personal library, because we all have our favourite collection of books. And most of the time, because we can only read one book at a time, or several books at a time, so most of our books, even our beloved books, lie on the shelves unread. But what if those books behind our back were communicating with each other and swapping characters, so you can so that the books start to mix up their stories and create new books or new narratives by by osmosis, drawing in characters from books nearby or volumes nearby.
It's interesting that idea in your work always of there's a sense of the surreal.
That's part of it, although I also say in the latest book, Suchness, the Zen Poetry and Prose, a lot of that is just right here, right now, just the present moment, what's before us. And so it's both. I work both ways. A lot of work that I do is just observing things and making connections, which is what poetry is about. There's a beautiful Buddhist quote from a Buddhist sutra, from the Lankavatara Sutra. And it goes like this: things are not what they appear, nor are they otherwise. Or things are not as they seem, nor are they otherwise.